If you like this episode, please subscribe, share with others, rate and review so we can continue to bring you great programming.
This is The Thing About Cars, a podcast for car enthusiasts and the people who love them.
Hello and welcome back. This is The Thing About Cars. I'm your host, Mickey Desai. Very happy to be back in the microphone with my friends. Around the table, we've got Dave Pauly. How are you, Dave?
You know, slightly titillated. Misty just threatened me with a ball gag.
Ben, how are you, sir?
I'm pretty fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Tim, how are you?
I'm springtime fresh.
And last but not least of our regular crew, there's Misty in the Netherlands. How is it, Misty?
I'm good. I'm just rooting around in the toy box.
Okay. Our guest for today is Robert Kennedy, author of Mustang Unbridled, or is it just Unbridled? Forgive me. My copy is the one you have in your background there, Mustang Unbridled. Yes.
Yes, Mustang Unbridled is the new version.
How are you, Robert?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Yes. This book, before we get into it, I must say this is, I just, Tim, stop me. Do the trivia.
Sure. Okay. So, Robert, since you're new to the show, we asked the trivia question up front. We've got the whole length of the trivia, the whole length of the show for people to furiously look it up on the internet, and then we give you the answer at the end. So, our question for today, since we're talking about cars that debuted in the 1964 model year, when did the Porsche 911 stop using an air-cooled engine? Was it 1989, 1994, 1997, or do they still make some that have air-cooled engines? So our options are 89, 94, 97, or you can still get them. We'll come back at the end of the show for the exciting answer.
Wow.
That's a fun question, Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an appropriate question, too, in that I used to work for Porsche.
I saw that. Let me do a quick official thing here. I'm going to read the bio, a very short bio that I found on Amazon's website to introduce Robert. Excuse me, and I'm going to have to edit this out. Robert M. Kennedy is a graduate of Wyoming Technical Institute, a former Porsche Premier technician, and a lifelong Mustang enthusiast. In 2020, Kennedy wrote and produced a zero-budget documentary film, Adapt or Die, the Mustang II story. Kennedy's documentary inspired John M. Clore, enthusiast communications manager for Ford Performance, to engage him as a contributing writer for performance.ford.com. Kennedy then formed unleaded-only publications to self-publish book projects. Since then, he's proven a dynamic speaker, an engaging and popular podcast guest. Lucky for us. His Mustang insights have been featured in Open Road magazine and presentations at the Motorcar Cavalcade Concours d'Elegance. Robert resides in Nebraska. So that's a lot. I mean, my first snarky comment is, you must really love Mustangs.
I do. Lifelong obsession.
Well,
Mickey, may I
now
ask
you
something?
know where all of, like we're our opposite sides of the coin. We have one Kennedy who's,
Well,
in
I was
love with
about to-
Mustangs, and someone who,
I was about to say, to set the tone for you, Robert, as a guest, Misty is an avowed enemy of Ford. My first car was a Mustang II. I am an avowed Mustang fanatic. You're going to be bopping back and forth between us all show.
Fair enough. I love it.
I am mature enough to recognize the Mustang's place in, especially in American automotive history. But my grandfather was a mechanic, and he would rise from his grave, cross the ocean, and slap me on the back of the head if I ever bought a Ford. So I have that to contend with. And my grandfather was strictly GM, Chevy, Dodge.
Of course.
Anything but Ford, because the man drove an Opel, and how a man living in the hinterlands of the Northeast Georgia mountains managed to find and drive Opels like that, I don't know, but that was how I grew up. So I was taught that we are a, despite our humble background, that we are a discerning family, and we do not drive Fords.
So, Robert, this is the most comprehensive Mustang book I've ever picked up. I mean, you get everything in here, from just good old fandom to technical specs to politics behind the scenes. How did you get all this information, first of all?
Obsessive compulsive research and several firsthand interviews. I was very honored to be able to speak directly with everybody from Jack Roush and Steve Saleen to Vaughn Gittin Jr., Edwin Krenz, the chief engineer in charge of developing the S650 Mustang. I waited for about a year and a half to speak with him. Basically, no holds barred, one-on-one interview, and he finally did do that with me. We chatted for an hour and a half straight, and essentially that interview basically became the almost as a transcript the final chapter of the book.
Wow. Okay.
So cool.
You
So
know,
what started your obsession with Mustangs?
What really started it, I wish I had it in front of me. It's in the closet across the room. A little Matchbox car of a 1979
Perfect.
Yellow Mustang, little Fox body hatchback. It was my favorite toy as a little guy, even before I knew what a Mustang was. And I think as I grew up, recognizing that shape, as I looked at real cars and saw real Fox bodies, that did it.
Yeah.
It snowballed from there.
Right. So now this is sort of a culmination or a stop along the way. Obviously you're not going to lose your love of Mustangs, but how, now that you've written this book, it is so comprehensive. What else is there to discover and write about?
Well, on Mustang, and until something more happens, you might have hit the nail on the head. That might be it for the moment. I tried very hard to not leave anything out. All seven generations from A to Z, so to speak. But I do hope to revisit it someday in the future. We do have an audiobook version coming out, so people can listen to Mustang history while driving their Mustang or working on their Mustang in the garage. Yeah. But we do have additional projects in the works covering other brands and other aspects of the industry.
Dave, did you have a question? Or Ben, did you have a question?
Actually, I did have one that in doing this, especially having a lifelong passion for it. In my books, I have occasionally realized I've had a lifelong passion for something and didn't know crap about it. Did you discover something in the Mustang history that you were both surprised to discover and surprised that you didn't know?
Gosh, yeah, several times over. I am OCD about it. I did know enough to take the leap of faith that I could put it all down on paper. But along the way, there were numerous revelations. Everything from the really old stuff, first generation with different Boss 9 prototypes, with mid-engine versions and whatnot. The truth behind the naming of the car, all the way on up to some of the newer things. In that, when I started writing this in 2020, the newest one that I had personally owned was an SN95. I'd driven S550, GT350Rs and things like that, but I hadn't immersed myself, for example, with some of the S197s and discovering how many different variants of that there were, from various tuners and aftermarket type companies. I had never known about a Black Widow version of the 197. Just stuff like that would pop up, and I go, wait, hold up, huh? And then you got to make some more phone calls.
Right. Yeah. Among the things I'm sorry, Ben, Tim, did I hear somebody?
Yeah, Robert, I was wondering, going back to the very origin of the Mustang, is this a car that made its debut kind of like on the car show circuit, or did it come around, more organically?
How do you mean?
Well, I know a lot of, cars, you would go to, like, I know what GM called it, like the Autorama, where it was like a touring car show, and I'm sure Ford had their version of it. Was it a car that debuted that way, or and they decided, okay, let's take this to production, or is it a different route?
Yes and no. They did want to have a car for the 1962 show season that would the public could really focus their attention on. They didn't know what that would be, so they did have some management types go down to look at various designs, some artwork, and that is how they ended up coming up with the 62, the little two-seat V4 mid-engine car. And then that was completely unrelated, totally unrelated to the production car, which almost, of course, didn't use the Mustang name when it did after the 62 concept. That was total coincidence. And then they actually created the Mustang 2 1963 show car to create the mythology that the total fabrication that there was any connection between them. And that car, that was pretty neat on the 15-month-long book tour that I was on to promote the original version, which was just Unbridled before it became now Mustang Unbridled. I was at the Carlisle All Ford show in Pennsylvania, and they actually had the 63 prototype there, that the concept car, and they put it in a booth immediately next to me and my booth where I was signing copies of the book. And they said at one point, they came to my booth and they said, "Hey, it runs, but we don't really want to fire it up right now. We need to move it. Would you help us push it across the floor?" And I'm like, "I get to touch the 63 Mustang too?" Yeah, so I did. And I had no idea. This is another moment of revelation that there is a huge dent on the back driver's side corner of that car. Nice. Somebody somewhere, I don't know if they lost their job or not, backed it into something. You can stick your fist in it. It's that big of a dent.
Wow.
So I raised my hand and I said, "I didn't do that." Before we started moving it.
Nice.
Very cool.
So, I'm fascinated by the idea of the V4. I know that you could get that in a Saab Sonnet back in the in the 60s. Did Ford ever have
launches
a V4 in production?
Yeah, they did use it in a German Ford. The name is escaping me under pressure here, but it's in the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ben, you said some launches as well?
Yeah, the launches from Italy used some V4s back in the 60s as well. In fact, I know a guy who has one. It's a very small displacement, wide angle engine. It's weird, but it works.
It might have been Taunus. Does that sound right? Ford Taunus? Was that a German car back then?
That was, yeah.
Yeah, I think that had the V4.
It's weird, but it works. I think that applies to all of us.
Yeah.
Robert, you've driven a variety of Mustangs. You're had your hands on a variety of Mustangs. Is there a favorite?
I think the one that would be a favorite, if somebody at Ford would give me the opportunity, would be a GTD. I was out recently at Motorsport Park Hastings in kind of central Nebraska. It's a heck of a racetrack. And Todd Soderquist, who works with Ford Racing, had brought a GTD down from Detroit, and he was actually running laps with everybody else out there. So there were Shelby 500s and all this out there running with him, and yet he was closing gaps and all this, sounding amazing, but you could tell just listening that it wasn't even pushing it hard. And I asked him when he came in off the track, I said, "How much harder could you push that?" He goes, "Oh, a lot, but I got cords showing through the tires and I still got to drive back to Dearborn on it."
Yeah.
So, no, I would love to drive something, the pinnacle of engineering right now with it like that. But beggars can't be choosers. I am thankful for the blessings that I do have. I personally own a Mustang 2 convertible. It's number 6 of 24 that were ever actually built as hardtops at Dearborn Assembly, and then shipped by rail directly to Emmis Coach Builders in Clearwater, Florida, very similar to how they had been shipping 2+2 fastbacks from San Jose to LAX for Shelby American to turn them into GT350s 12 years prior. that car, I run a little registry page for these Classic 2, as they're called, convertible owners. And so far, we know that at least 10 of those 24 are still around. And of those 10, this one that I have is actually the lowest mileage at 8,000 miles on it. Unrestored. It's in incredible condition. It's only got the V6 and a 4-speed. It is not in a hurry to go anywhere. But it's original right down to the spark plug wires, the belts, the hoses, the air filter is original. The only things changed on it are the battery, the 4 tires it's sitting on, and the oil filter.
That's amazing.
So I still get a little chill when I go out and drive it anytime. I drop the top. It's a power top.
Sure.
And cruise around, smooth and silent. Take my kids to get some ice cream. It's a fun little piece of Mustang history that most people don't know even exists.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was not aware until just now that there was such a thing.
Right.
They were going to build 100 of them right off the bat, but what they ran into is the problem that a Mustang in 1977, the base price was $3,702. The conversion cost for Emmis to make a hardtop a drop top was $4,500.
Oh, wow.
So it more than doubled the price with one line item.
Yeah.
They ended up in a situation where you could buy a brand new Corvette for $8,800 with a warranty. You could buy a brand new Porsche 911 for about $14,000, or you could get into one of these Mustang 2 convertibles that you had a warranty on the body through Emmis, you had a warranty on the powertrain through Ford, but it's all kind of murky, for usually between $9,500 and $11,500. So they had the folks who could afford one that expected, frankly, a little bit better car. And then you had the Mustang enthusiasts that desperately wanted a brand new convertible, but they couldn't justify that they're paying for 3 cars and getting one.
Right.
Well, that kind of brings up a thought I was having. It's a good connection point. The Mustang 2.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a little older than I look. I was born in the late 60s, so my formative years as a car enthusiast were kind of, from starting about 1980 or so. Well, really before that, but that was really when I started becoming cognizant of things. And so when I was growing up, the Mustang 2 was kind of the car that everybody loved to hate.
Yeah.
I think especially once the Fox came out, people kind of looked back and said, huh. But it seems to me like history is kind of vindicating the two a little bit. What's your take on that?
I totally agree with everything you just said. It definitely had the redheaded stepchild treatment there for a while, which I know all too well from my time at Porsche, where for a time everybody hated on the 914.
Right.
Which is a great little car, and values have come up recently on that, as now anything air-cooled is coveted. And the Mustang 2 is the 914 of the Mustang lineage. There was a time, and you are correct, in the 80s, where the Mustang 2 is no longer the new car, but it also wasn't the classic car. It was just kind of the other car. My thing that I always try to relay to people, and I know John Kluwer over at Ford, who was the guy that talked me into writing this in the first place, he shares this opinion. In 1973, September 73, when that car debuted, it was such a radical change from the big horse before it, and they tacked on the Roman numeral at the end of it too, which was supposed to be a good thing, but I think it ended up actually being negative because it made too clear of a divide. But all these other muscle cars, whether it's 442s or Barracudas or Javelins or anything like this, these were all generally being, taken to a graveyard, so to speak. They were going extinct. And Ford, which had shut down each of its extra 2 facilities for manufacturing, had gone down to just Dearborn building Mustangs because there wasn't enough demand to keep the other 2 open. They had to reopen San Jose just to keep up with demand, and it was advancements like the rack and pinion steering, which would continue, the hatchback, which would continue into the Fox, that made it more relevant and able to survive that time period.
Right.
Yeah,
so
well,
Robert, no, go ahead, Ben.
And It also makes me think of the thing I was hearing back when the Probe was about to come out, that it was going to be a Mustang, and all the car magazines were calling it the Gelding.
The thing with the Probe too, that whole sequence happened the way it did because someone inside of Ford leaked that intention out to the automotive press, knowing full well that this is going to get reported and people are not going to respond well. That guy in Ford that very much risked his entire career there kept his name quiet for decades. This book is the first book that actually names him. In fact, the early version that has 900 plus photos in it, I actually have a photo of him and copies of the letter that he sent to Mustang Monthly magazine saying, "Hey, this is what's going to be happening." So, because he's now to the point where he's up there in years and he's worried about his own mortality and the idea that he might pass, and nobody knows that he was the guy that blew the lid on the story and saved Mustang from becoming a front-wheel drive, four-cylinder powered Japanese car.
He was like as Deep Throat was to the Watergate scandal. In
fact, I had mentioned at the beginning of the interview that I had several one-on-one interviews with significant people. And so I was interviewing that guy actually for a different reason with the book. And almost at the end of the conversation, he said as an aside, he says, I'm that guy. And I didn't know whether to believe him or not, because it's almost like saying I'm Santa Claus.
Right.
But I did know, and I do know Donald Farr, the editor at Mustang Times, and he was the editor back then. So I called him and I said, "Hey, just told me that he's the guy, blah, blah, blah. Does that sound right to you?" And there was a long pause, and Donald said, "And he told you could print this?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, that's how I remember it."
Wow.
So that was breaking news 35 years after the fact.
Yeah.
I'm going to
I think that needs to be a movie.
I'm going to bleep out his name.
Right, yeah.
Because you just said it.
The first name. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Rolling back to that Mustang 2, the original Mustang based on the Falcon chassis. What was Mustang 2 based on? What did it share a platform with?
The initial development process was actually looking at using Maverick or using Pinto. They ended up going with the direction that started with Pinto, but the reality of it is that they so heavily reworked that platform, adding length to the wheelbase, adding width to the track. Aside from the rear wheel housings and a little bit of the rear trunk floor pan, there's really not much that carries over directly, aside from spindles and little things that typically translate from one car to the next anyhow. It's about 10%, according to Ford's internal documents, about 10% parts shared between a Pinto and a Mustang 2 until the Mustang 2 came out, and then they actually shared some parts retroactively to upgrade Pinto. Those are actually Mustang 2 parts.
It's funny you say that because the addition of the hatchback, which is the model of Mustang 2 I had, the hatchback gave it just enough aesthetic reference to the Pinto.
Yeah.
And
to your point earlier that people didn't give Mustang 2 much credit at all, my college roommates referred to my car as the Pintang.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That's better than what I got when my first car was an 82 little Fox Body, a little 4i Mustang. It was rusted so badly. Everybody in my class referred to it as a Rustang instead of a Mustang.
Well, my brother had a 79. The only Mustang that's been owned in our family. It was the early 90s. He was, not making much money at the time. He bought this used 79 off of one of my mom's coworkers. It was baby blue. It had a 4-cylinder engine and it had an automatic. There was nothing particularly exciting about it. And he liked to make jokes about getting smoked by Chevettes, but but it was reliable. At least it didn't ever leave him on the road.
Oh, they're fun little cars. I loved mine. I was 16 years old. It was $500. It was all mine. And it was bright red with a 4-speed stick. So you can't complain about that.
Robert, I've got 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
And just to give you a heads up, I ask a weird question of our listener at the end of our interview. So you may get something really just out of left field for
I love it.
my very last.
Mickey, can
Sometimes
I
the
stop you
entire
right
interview
there?
is nothing but weird questions.
That's
Yeah, I
great.
was about to say, okay, Dave, out of my head, you're not big enough to be in there by yourself.
Yeah, but you know what? There's so many things in here to play with.
That's what she said.
She knows.
I can't say what I was about to say. I just can't. Okay, Robert. A friend of ours really disdained Ford's move to take away the V8 engine, and there was, what do you think about that?
I've been told a few things in confidence over the course of the book here. I want to make sure I don't say anything out of place. I'll phrase it my own personal suspicion. I think we came closer to actually losing V8 Mustangs in the foreseeable future than what they might want to admit, especially after the electric market is kind of cooling here. That being said, they seem pretty committed to sticking with the V8 now. I personally love the idea of exploring hybridization. The idea, like Corvette has been doing recently, with an electrified front axle to complement gas power to the back of the car. If they did something like that in the future, I think would be amazing. I would love a all-wheel drive option for superior handling. And admittedly, even EcoBoosts now, they make more power than GTs did in the 80s and the 90s. Mm-hmm. And you get the superior fuel economy. So do they really need a V8 anymore? I don't personally think so, but the tradition is appreciated, and the possibilities now that they can do so much with a 4, they can do even more with an 8. And I hope that they keep going so long as they keep price in mind, because we can't all afford a GTD supercar that's valued as much as my house.
Yeah. Not kidding.
You know what I mean?
And I've driven some of the recent 4-cylinder turbo ones, as rental cars in my business travels, and they were absolutely fun.
They're delightful cars.
Yeah. And not as much front end weight as the V8 either.
But right. I mean, and that only improves the handling. The thing with Mustang, when it was brand new in the spring of '64, it was cheap, pretty fun. It was a gorgeous design that Gail Halderman had sketched out, and then everybody had turned into reality. It was a ton of performance for the money, but the money was so minimal. I mean, people couldn't justify not buying it.
Yeah.
And the thing is that with inflation, though, the dollar today is worth less than a dime in 1964. If we translate the original $2,368 base price of a 65 Mustang to today, it's about $22,700 some dollars.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're starting Mustang pricing in 2026 about 10 grand higher than that.
Right.
If they would have had a base price of $3,700 back then, it would have negatively impacted the amazing launch, selling 1 million units in 22 months back then. Just like dropping 10 grand off the price tag now would dramatically increase sales. So I hope that with future versions of the Mustang, that they keep that in mind.
Yeah, plus
it was never intended to be a world record breaking, Nürburgring laps and all this. That was never the intent of Mustang originally. It's awesome that they can do it, but...
Well, it bugs the snot out of me, too, that anything that's even remotely fun today is going to have like a huge price premium stuck on it just because of that.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it's worth it or not.
Ben, that poor people are not allowed to have fun.
Apparently.
Robert, since the Mustang has gone through so many different generations in its long history, I assume you've driven the vast majority of them. From generation to generation, have you always felt they go like, okay, this feels like a Mustang when I drive it, or are there like huge leaps or variances when you go from one generation to the next?
Well, there are huge leaps, for sure. And I definitely have my preferences. Personally, I'm a small sports car kind of guy. I worked for Porsche for 5 years. For 5 years, I would finish working at Porsche for the day, and I would go across the street to the parking garage and get into my 1998 Mustang convertible. And I would think, God, this thing is a tank compared to the little 911s and Boxsters I've been driving for the previous 6-7 hours. But if you look at an SN95 or a Fox Body or a Mustang 2 next to an S197, 550 or 650 Mustang, and you're like, oh, they're so small and cute, you know? You know, the big horses from 71 to 73, they look bigger than what we've got now, but they're actually not. I mean, it's within about an inch now.
Okay.
So my personal preference is small and sporty. I used to have a Mazda Miata back in the day, and it was a ton of fun.
And now you're talking
You
Misty's
said the
language.
magic words.
Oh no, you
Oh, they're
don't.
fun. It's all about power to weight ratio.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't need to have 1,000 horsepower if you've
No.
dropped 1,000 pounds out of the car.
That's
I'm
right.
a Lotus guy myself, so I can definitely relate.
Oh, I love Lotus. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've got a Elan Plus 2. It's like 120 horsepower or something, and oh my God, it's the most fun thing I've ever driven.
Oh, for sure.
Hey, Ben,
Yeah.
you remember what the Mazda MX-5 Miata engine sound is based on?
Well, almost everything about the Miata is Lotus Elan inspired.
Right.
La-da.
I've got a
actually have
couple of
tw-
NX5 parts in mine.
Yeah, I have the 2016 MX-5 ND. I got her in 2016. I'm very happy to announce that I have finally hit over 61,000 kilometers on Claudette.
Yay.
All right,
And
Robert. My last question for you. I don't know about the gang. When Mustang came out as an electric vehicle in the shape that it has, a lot of us dropped our jaws. And in my mind, I was thinking, what is Ford thinking?
yeah.
And I'm just you and me and the rest of our crew here. Personal reaction. What do you think about this bearing the Mustang name?
My personal reaction was based on, for me, it felt like history repeating itself. I was with Porsche when we launched the Cayenne for 2003.
Ah, yeah.
People, because Porsche had never built anything other than two-door sports cars to that point. So a four-door, very heavy SUV was sacrilege. It was blasphemy.
Right.
People seemed so angry at us. We joked constantly that people were going to start throwing Molotov cocktails through our showroom window. But at least we had the good sense not to brand it a 911.
Yeah.
It was Cayenne. It was its own unique thing. My personal opinion on the Mach-E then, seeing that happen, was that I wish that they would have named it Model E. I think that could have honored brand heritage in that the Model T essentially launched a century of gasoline-powered Fords, and the Model E could do that in theory for electrified Fords. I think it would have been smart. I think it would have been nice, and it wouldn't have ruffled all the feathers of so many Mustang enthusiasts. I've driven a Mach-E. I've driven a couple of Mach-Es. They are nice cars.
Yeah.
I have no complaint about them other than that, to me personally, in my own opinion, it would do nothing to satisfy my visceral emotional urge to go out and drive my Mustang. It doesn't rumble. It's my Mustangs are slower, a lot slower. But there's a rumble, there's a smell, there are feelings that may actually indicate inferiority, but it's emotional and it's an experience that I don't get out of anything with a battery pack.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I think Robert just took us all to church today. Amen, brother. Amen.
That's right.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
partly agree. My thing is, if it was the only thing they were calling a Mustang, I'd be pretty upset. But since it's not, I just shrug and go, yeah, whatever. It's still a good car.
Sure. You know, the Mustang styling cues on the Mach-E, they look good. The horse and the grill, the tri-bar taillights, these are things that look good. I think no matter where you're going to put them, they're good looking cues. But just because it's, I don't want to get too many people at Ford too mad at me. They've been very good to me, but my personal opinion is that they're very different vehicles.
I think you're right. I agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Do you guys have any more questions for Robert before I ask him his wrap up weirdo? Yeah, go for it, Tim.
So in researching your book, I'm sure you did a lot of book research and things like that.
Yeah.
But did you have to do any like physical research or going down to various auto museums? Documenting changes like that.
Yeah. Shoot, I went to the Henry Ford in Greenfield Village. I went to the Museum of American Speed, which is run by Speedway Motors. Great place, by the way. Been to the Mustang Museum of America, the Halderman Barn Museum. Even made it down into Sarasota, Florida, to some museums there and everything. A lot of firsthand, hands-on stuff like that. And what was really neat at one point was because I was writing for the Ford Performance website, as you mentioned in my bio at the beginning. John Clore asked me, he said, "You live by the Lincoln Highway, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, the old brick section." He says, "Could you do a piece on the history of that? Because it was our nation's first transcontinental interstate highway." And I said, "Yeah, I think that's a great idea." So for photography to accompany that article, I brought in not only our local Model T club, but our local Mustang club. And we, at one point, were driving a Model T, a 65 Mustang hardtop, my own personal King Cobra T-top that I've got, and then a 2016 GT350 down the road, taking photographs of kind of all these different generations together. And the firsthand experience that you get driving each of those cars down a 110-year-old brick road, you can't get that out of a textbook.
Yeah.
It blew my mind driving both the 65 and the 78 with their solid stick axles down that brick road was enough to rattle your fillings loose. But the GT350, of course, with its independent suspension and, the magnetic adjustable shocks and everything, was a delight. And so was the Model T with its great big leaf springs at all four corners. It just kind of moved the way it needed to, and we just glided over the bricks. It was amazing. It was
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
How did we screw it up in between 100 years ago and the new one that they didn't ride as good as the antique? It was awesome. It was a fun experience.
Oh, that's
great.
Yeah.
All right, time for our weird questions. I'm tempted to throw two of them at you, Robert.
Yeah.
What's the best type of cheese?
Cheddar. The sharper, the better.
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
All right. And the last question. If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends and family assume you had done?
Oh, Lord. Probably had my car impounded. In fact, no, not my car impounded. They would assume I was jailed because I had my wife's car impounded. And this is a great way to bring this up. I've been wanting to say this since the beginning. Misty, we are a house divided. My wife was raised in a GM family, too. She has a 67 Camaro that her uncle ordered brand new. Her parents went on their first date in it. She might not exist if he'd shown up in some other brand. And she has a 2007 Lingenfelter Corvette, supercharged, methanol injected, the whole bit. It's a monster. I'm a Ford guy through and through, but even I admit that sucker is scary fast, and that's why they would assume I'm in jail.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about when the Mustang originally came out that it was it was cheap and it was fun and and Dave of course had to make a remark because he knows that. Having interviewed two of the founding designers of the MX-5, that was the whole, philosophy behind the MX-5 as well. It was fun and cheap. Yeah, and I'm the person that absolutely refused to take an airplane and a train to Odense, Denmark, because I could drive it on the Autobahn in June. It's like 800 kilometers, and I was like, let's do it.
Cheap, pretty, and fun. That could be some of our nicknames. Like I could be cheap, Misty could be pretty, and Dave could be fun, or something like that. And,
yeah, well, it's like I told Dave, I'm 2 out of the 3. I am never cheap. Those are just the rules.
We've seen your OnlyFans.
Easy. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
All right, Robert.
Dave,
thank
we
you.
know you're easy.
Robert, thank you.
Easy, man.
Thank you, Robert. I'm trying to thank our guest, Misty.
I love you.
Robert,
Big fluffy heart, love you.
Robert, the book is called Mustang Unbridled. You can get it on Amazon, but we prefer that you go to the Quarto website and get it from Quarto Publishing. Just go to quarto.com and search for Mustang Unbridled. You can buy it online there. It is, like I said, the most comprehensive book about any single car brand I've ever seen. And it is a must for any, not only Mustang fan, but I think if you're, in a general sense, just into the automotive world and want to get a glimpse behind what the backroom conversations might have a look like, you should read this book. It's really good. Robert, thank you very much for being our guest today. I'm glad we connected, and I'm very grateful for your time on this Saturday to have this interview with us. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, please stick around as we answer our trivia question and enjoy the rest of the show. We haven't got too much more time left, but you don't have to bolt.
Yeah, I do want to actually make a confession, Robert. Your passion and just I will probably actually now buy this book and read it.
I appreciate
just because,
that. More than
just
I
because, and like I said, I have a definite, almost genetic dislike of Ford, but
I honestly was worried about that as we got ready for this thing. I'm like, is Misty gonna kill this guy or what?
No, he's family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I might, push him off in the river, because the river's just right across the street over here. But I mean, I won't kill him. He's family.
Let's do a quick check-in with the rest of us, since it's been a while since we've done a recording. What automotive news can we talk about, or anything going on? Misty, I know you had something to update us on.
Yeah, we do have a bit of sad news, as everybody may or may not know. It's getting a lot of attention. The Nürburgring races this weekend. It's getting a lot of attention because Max Verstappen is participating. And unfortunately, during the race on Saturday, there was a very serious multi-car crash during the Nürburgring Langstreckenserie. On Saturday, it involved 7 cars, and unfortunately, one of the drivers did pass away from his injuries, Juha Miettinen, and who was driving for the BMW team. So our sincere condolences to his family and loved ones, and just a reminder that, cars are amazing, cars are wonderful, and cars can still be very, very dangerous to us. So treat them with the respect that they, do deserve. And
Misty, did they release a cause for the crash?
They did not say. All they said was that during the first race of the ADAC 24-hour Nürburgring qualifiers on the 18th of April 2026, a serious accident involving 7 competitors occurred in the early stages of the race.
Yeah, it's very
Following
sad.
the collision between several vehicles, race control immediately halted the race to allow for extensive recovery and rescue operations. And even with the immediate arrival of emergency services, they were unable to reanimate the driver involved.
Yeah.
And the race was red flagged and suspended.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen any video released of it or anything like that. And usually when you have an accident of any magnitude, first you go full course caution, then there's a safety car, then it's a red flag, but they went immediately to the red flag. So it was clear from the beginning that there was a very serious accident.
That it was very serious. So, I will say that over the years that I've been a fan of racing, and I grew up down the road from Bill Elliott, Wild Bill from Dawsonville. I'm from Georgia. I'm the only person in the room from Georgia, even though everybody else but you, Robert's based in Georgia. And I'm huge into Formula One, Porsche Super Cup. God, I love Porsche bumper cars. It's amazing. But I will say that, I have, as safety gets better, incidences like this decrease, thankfully.
Yeah.
So it's more of a shock, I think, now than it was 15, 20 years ago. But it's still absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, totally. Ben, what's going on with you these days? We can a quick update?
Well, not a whole lot really. I'm just rolling along, enjoying life.
How's your Lotus doing?
What?
Well, that's the thing. Not really doing much anything right now. There's no major projects going on with the car. It's been just comfortably drivable. About to be kind of in the summer parked season because it's a miserable sweatbox to drive in warm weather. But other than that, it's doing great.
Yeah.
You just need to toughen up.
No, it is really a miserable sweatbox to drive in warm weather.
Have you not heard of 260 AC?
Doesn't work very well. The car is actually so aerodynamic that I can drop the windows at 80 miles an hour without messing up my hair, so not a lot of air is coming in through them.
Valid point.
Tim,
I think actually you've named the episode. This episode, Cheap, Pretty, and Fun or Miserable Sweatbox?
I think we go with the former.
Tim, are you at the MIDI, Tim? Or are you?
No, the MIDI is from our date of recording. The MIDI is next weekend at Road Atlanta, an HSR historic sports car race.
Yeah.
I'll be working timing and scoring for that event.
Robert, are you familiar with the MIDI?
No, I'm not.
Tim, you want to tell them?
So it's it was the very first race organized by what has become HSR, which is actually now a subsidiary of IMSA. So it's all cars that are historic that they're all at least 5 years old from when they began as racing cars. So we have cars that going back to the 1940s. A couple of years ago at our historic 24 Hours of Daytona race, we actually had someone who made a replica of the Cadillac Le Monstre.
Yeah, I know that car. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And yes, we have plenty of people who show up in classic muscle cars of Mustangs, Camaros. Even there's one guy out there with a Ford Falcon race car who drives that car very impressively, I will say.
That's cool.
Basically, you'll see retired race cars that run the gamut from local club MGs to old Formula Ones, and it's a blast.
Yeah.
I will admit that previous to writing Unbridled and Mustang Unbridled, I really didn't follow motorsports particularly closely myself. I would have just summed it up in my own mind as well. They started out fast and they got faster.
Right.
And I would have dismissed it at that, but I knew that a lot of people that are Mustang fans are big into the motorsports, and so I wanted to include those. So every generation's chapter always builds to an actual subsection of the chapter all about the racing exploits of the era, which I ended up finding incredibly fascinating. And along the way, my son, my 11, 12 now-year-old son, got into Formula One racing. Huge fan, particularly of Charles Leclerc over at Ferrari. And now he's started karting competitively, which is why I was out at Motorsport Park Hastings there for the GTD. Was actually because I'm out there watching my kid karting the next day. He's doing really good too. I'm pretty proud of him. I hope he makes it to F1.
That's great.
Awesome.
Someday.
Yeah.
Tim, we are way over time. Tim, how about we do the trivia and wrap the episode?
Okay. All right. As a reminder, the question it was and is, When did the Porsche 911 stop using an air-cooled engine? Was it 1989, 1994, 1997, or D, you can actually still order a 911 with an air-cooled engine? And we'll go ladies first. Misty, what is your best choice?
You're picking me for ladies first? I would have thought you would have gone with Dave.
So would I.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm gonna say it being Porsche, I'm gonna say that money is no object, and if you want one today, you can still have one.
Okay. Ben?
1997.
Okay. Mickey?
I'm going to say 1989 just because Ben took my response, which was 1997.
Okay. And we'll, Robert, I'm going to save you to last because you are a former Porsche employee. So yeah. Dave will go ladies second to last.
This is one of those questions when all else fails, I have no freaking clue. Go with Ben. 97.
Okay. Robert, what is your educated answer?
My educated answer is I joined Porsche in 1999, just after they sold the last of the air-cooled 1998 Porsche 911 Carrera Type 993. And
wow.
Associated versions.
Okay, yes, and that is correct.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That was an excellent question, Tim.
Thank you.
It was a good one.
That was a really good one.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm here all week. Thank you.
Robert, again, thank you for being our guest today. From our listeners, please check out the book, Mustang Unbridled. Get it from Quarto.com. You won't regret it. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us again. We're glad to be back on mic. Hope to be bringing you more interviews for this 2026 season of The Thing About Cars. Please stay in touch with us via our LinkedIn page. That's the easiest way to get in touch with us. More reliable even than our current website. So we would love to hear your suggestions and ideas for future guests and stuff we might do with the show. In the meantime, please, everybody out there, stay safe, and we will see you guys on the road. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.